This morning, the Biden administration vowing to take all necessary action after an unmanned drone strike sent, it said, by Iran-backed militant groups. 3 US soldiers were killed, the first American military fatalities from hostile fire since war broke out between Israel and Hamas on October 7th. Another major escalation in a region already in turmoil. And US Central Command said more than 30 were wounded in the attack in northeast Jordan at a remote base on the border with Syria and Iraq called Tower 22. 8 personnel, CENTCOM said, were evacuated to higher level care. President Biden yesterday leading a moment of silence and promising an American response.
We had a tough day last night in the Middle East. We lost 3 brave souls in an attack on one of our bases, and we shall respond.
The base, that can be seen by satellite, is tasked with fighting the remnants of ISIS and limiting Iran's reach in Syria. 2 US officials told NBC News a drone packed with explosives had struck American troops as they slept. It's the latest and deadliest attack on US forces, facing conflicts with Iran-backed groups on multiple fronts. One, called the Islamic Resistance in Iraq, saying it targeted 3 US bases in the region on Sunday, partly in revenge, it says, for Israel's military campaign in Gaza. With America already locked in an escalating confrontation with the Houthis in Yemen over the group's continued attacks on global shipping, the Houthis praising the fatal strike on US troops. Now Republicans demanding a more forceful response from the US. Senator Lindsey Graham writing, "I am calling on the Biden administration to strike targets of significance inside Iran. Hit Iran now, hit them hard." In a region already rocked by events in Israel and Gaza, the US has paused funding to a major UN agency after Israel said some of its staff participated in Hamas terror attacks on Israel on October 7th. The UN saying it has fired 9 staffers as the investigation continues. Hey there, good day to you. The president vowing to respond to the first US military fatalities from hostile fire since the war in Gaza began. President Biden describing it as a tough day. The 3 were killed at a base here in Jordan. 34 were injured, 8 evacuated for higher level care. A group backed by Iran is being blamed for the attack, but today Iran attempting to distance itself from the attack, saying it does not send orders to its proxies. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby telling Today they are looking at options while saying the US does not want a war with Iran. Still, some Republicans are saying it is now time for strikes inside Iran, saying a stronger message needs to be sent, while allies of the US in this region warning of further instability.
Three American soldiers killed and at least 24 injured in a drone strike in Jordan. President Biden calling for a moment of silence during a campaign stop in South Carolina.
We lost 3 brave souls in an attack on one of our bases.
While the facts are still being gathered, in a statement, the president says the attacks were carried out by radical Iran-backed militia groups operating in Syria and Iraq. Lawmakers agree.
Clear, according to what the White House is telling us, that this was instigated by radical extremists funded by Iran.
This attack marks the first time U.S. service members in the Middle East were killed in the months of strikes since the Israel-Hamas war began, and is seen as a dangerous escalation.
These are drones that are packed with explosives and then detonate upon impact. But to have that type of, the number of casualties suggests that it was a fairly sizable one.
The White House says the U.S. will hold those responsible to account at a time and in a manner of our choosing. There's also pressure on the administration to take decisive action against Iran for backing the militia behind the deadly drone strike.
I think the Biden administration now is going to have to rethink the general strategy. Deterrence is not working.
President Biden vows to take action.
He said we'll respond. We absolutely will. We'll do it at a time and in a manner of our choosing.
A sentiment echoed by defense officials who say attacks on American forces will not be tolerated. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News. And since the onset of the Israel-Hamas war, militant groups have targeted U.S. forces in the Middle East with more than 160 attacks against bases with American troops. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.